What's up, guys? I normally don't always speak in streams most of the time because I'm playing with friends or different reasons. But today's stream's a little bit different, so I figured that it would be good to actually speak about it. I know many people always ask me what it's like to run a guild or to maintain one or how to start one, and a lot of my many members don't understand all the work that goes into running a guild depending on the type of guild you want to run. So I wanted to do a few walkthroughs about starting a guild, what it entails, how you maintain it, keep it active, etc. Especially when it comes to doing it with all of the game bugs. For instance, I've been updating notes and I've been kicked from the game now twice because of message limits, even though I'm not sending any messages. So I run my own guild as well as helping to run our two ally guilds. We have different systems though, so I'm going to walk you through some of the different systems that different guilds use. As you can see right now, when it comes to offline members in the Elder Scrolls series, it doesn't show how long they've actually been offline due to a roster bug that they currently have. So in this guild we use a system where we see the people online and we give them a validation note that shows how long they're validated to stay in the guild. And as long as everyone has it with up to the current date, then they're safe. So all of this has to be done manually. When you see, for instance, this has a 9 and this has a 2, the admins have to go in, edit the notes, and we have to manually, by hand, change each individual note for every single member. All of this combined, especially when managing multiple guilds, it can become hours of work in the end of the day. You kind of really have to pay attention to what you're doing. As you can see, there's about 86 members online currently, and members come on and off like every minute. For instance, this person was on 13 minutes ago, so roster numbers are always fluctuating. There's different types of guilds that you can create in the Elder Scrolls games. You can have a social guild, which is more like a clubhouse. If you're not really looking to do any type of admin work or updating or like really any types of ranking, more or less, then you can have like a social guild, which is more or less people are there just to help each other hang out. There's not really any requirements. It's not really a activity limit, at least not a very strict one. No donation fees. Normally in social guilds the point is kind of just like a finally finished with this guild. It's kind of like a clubhouse, you know. So now that I finished with this guild, I'm gonna go into our other ally guild. A good way to do this, by the way, if you're trying to do admin work, you can kind of have little hacks. When you go into the edit note, if you see down here, you've got the bottom of the keyboard, in-game keyboard, under the spacebar, 3 dots. So what you can do is you can just easily change something and then come down here, select all, and then just copy it. And then it's finished, and then you can just easily select all and then paste, auto change it. This can make your admin work much faster, easier, but it's also just as easy to just go like this and change it. But as I was saying, social guilds normally who don't do any other type of services, they don't require that much maintenance or upkeeping. They're just like a place to kind of vibe out and chill. Then you have casual style types of guilds like our ally guilds. They have a trader, and they do have ranking systems, and they do have requirements to reach each rank, so therefore we do have to keep track of donations and events. But they're casual play. They don't host many events a week. It's not like not doing much endgame content outside of like a prog. So it doesn't really need as much maintenance, though due to the size it would be extremely difficult for just one person to manage by themselves. Like I was saying though, different guilds have different types of requirements, so I will continue with these after. I will show you my guild. Now, in my guild, one of the first important steps when making a guild is before you start recruiting, you already want to have your message of the day set up. This is information displayed for members that you get to join your guild. It should include basic common information for many big active guilds. For instance, I run a hybrid guild. It does social, PvE, trading, and even some PvP, as well as many events, and we have a prog, we have raffles, contests. It does a plethora and a mix of different things. So, depending on what your guild does, and if you want to have a Discord server or not, but for those who don't know what Discord is, it's a social app used mostly for gamers. And it's where you have all your info and stuff displayed, services, but not every person has Discord. So your message of the day should include where your guild hall is, your activity limits for how long people can be offline. If you're doing trading, some people put their top weekly donators in because it can help to increase donations even sometimes. If you run a Discord, you're going to want a small description of what your server is about, what it offers, and of course the code so that members know to join. If you have any types of guild fees or activity requirements, participation requirements, guild rules, you can have displayed on the message of the day. You should always reiterate what trader you have. And always leave a little bit of space. Please don't spam my stream chat with your clickbait crap because I will ban you. Thank you. As I was saying, you're going to want to have, if you do any specialty events or your prog or something, you're going to want to have it listed at the bottom. And most importantly, because not everyone has a Discord, is you're going to want your event schedule. And you should always include what day it is, the name of the event, and the time, of course. And then at the bottom you can do a little bit of About Us. One of the cool things you can do when you're doing admin work is that ESO is one of the games that supports common standard coding that can be used on multiple PC, PowerPoints, etc. And you can access these colors online, on forums, just doing Google searches. So what you do, every color that you ever pick in the game is going to start with this symbol here and a C. Sorry for the cough, I am a little bit sick. But you go and you search these codes and you want to make your message of the day look appealing. You want to make it colorful, you want to have things that pop, and even you want to have like some colors that more or less coordinate with your guild tabard, which is like a little throwover that displays your guild symbol and displays the name. So it goes in with a lot of coding, and honestly, if you delete just the smallest little, let's say here, if I delete this D here, right? And then you scroll down, and you will see that the entire code for it is not displayed, it is messed up. So you always want to make sure that you're either copying and pasting with the PlayStation second screen app, or to make sure that you're just very carefully entering the codes. So you should always want to have this type of information displayed, and every time that you change or update the message of the day, it sends a notification to your members. It should at least, but the game's a little buggy and it didn't pop up, so we'll try it one more time. There it goes. So it sends a notification to your members so that they see it in their notifications. You should at least update your message of the day 1 to 2 times a day during prime game hours, depending on what time zone is there for your guild. So that's one thing. The other thing that you want to set up as well before you really start recruiting is you want to set up your listing. Setting up your listing allows people to find your guild on the guild finder, as well as allows you to link it in different chats for people to apply. Things to focus on is here, you want to make sure you have this set to listed, or else your guild is not going to show up on the finder. What is the primary focus of your guild? Are you primarily only a trading guild? Is it for group PvE, whether that's vet content, dungeons, pledges, trials, etc.? Role-playing, is your guild like a themed roleplay type of guild? Are you doing primary PvP like Cyrodiil runs and Battlegrounds in Imperial City? Questing, or is your guild strictly just a crafting guild, which can even be like a housing guild? Mine's primary PvE, secondary social. Here you include a list of the generalized activities that your guild offers. So what are you providing your members with? Here you accept what roles you have in your guild and accepting, and then the minimum champion points that you get. Most have their guild set to 0, so that anyone, even a brand new player, can join. Since my guild's balanced, I have a little bit more of a higher requirement, because in most times you'll notice when it comes to guild is new players will join and then they never make it to CP because they either don't like the game, or they just, for whatever reason, they are done with the game and they end up just taking up a spot in your guild. The more inactive members you have, the less active members you have, and the less active members you have means less donations, less socialization. Leaving a whole bunch of inactive members in your guild for extreme periods of time and taking up space, it can cause your guild to die. You can end up with 500 members in a capped guild, but if 300 of them are inactive, maybe they're old friends or people you like, it doesn't matter. In my opinion, it's best to just get rid of them. Let them rejoin anytime that they're active again, but they're taking up a lot of your guild's profit and potential. So I normally set the requirements to 10 because odds are if somebody's made it into champion level, they're going to continue playing. Play style, there's 3 different ones. You have casual, which is mostly a setting for social guilds, meaning that it's just come and enjoy and we don't have wrecks and do what you want here. Balanced means that you're not a try-hard guild, you're just balanced, a little bit of everything and some like simple small requirements. And hardcore, these are like hardcore veteran trial, hard mode, like raid groups and stuff, where they're normally smaller guilds with a fair share of like veteran endgame members that are strictly doing only endgame content. So you're going to want to display these so that people who are joining know what they're signing up for. Set your language, there's not really that many. Your core hours. And then again, same like the message of the day, you want to provide a small little description up here of what the general service is and what your guild's about. And then here again, You should always want to display any alliance guilds that you may have. An easier way actually for me to show you would be linking your guild. A very simple way to do it, if you don't have a recruitment message attached, is like so. Just link it there, scroll over it, and then you can view it like this. It displays your trader. You can set whether your guild is a 18 plus, or if it's accepting everybody, minors. It has your activities listed. Give a small little description again, display your trader even though it's shown at the top. I find it's nice to throw in some background images or like little pictures. It makes it like just kind of spruces it up a bit. Always explain your recs in the recruitment, because if you do not explain, if you have a fee or if you have a weekly requirement, then members are joining and they don't know what their expectation or obligation to the guild is, and they'll end up kicking lots of people constantly because they don't know what they're obliged to do, what they're supposed to be doing for the guild. And as well, members can get upset and they can say that you're tricking them, you're recruiting and hiding that you have like fees and stuff like this. So it's always better to just put it right under your trader. If you have a guild hall, you can provide many services in your house for all of your members to use. The Mundus Stones, the dye outfit station to customize how you look, all general crafting stations, the trial target dummy, and it doesn't hurt to have a few other normal target dummies as well. Vamp Tools, back in the day, they were a good investment to have for a guild hall. Currently, the game has severely nerfed everything about the vampires, so it's more or less made the vampire tools obsolete, as unless you're playing a vampire just for role-playing or because you enjoy it and you're doing the simple overland questing, it's more or less just not necessary, not needed. The Ethereal Well. This is something that is relatively new to the game, and it restores all of your sustain stats as well as gives you full 500 ultimate. I would recommend that any guild hall have this, as members can come in, restore all their stats before a dungeon, a trial, or a duel, or whatever it may be. Transmute Station, it's a must-have. A little bit, quite expensive, but allows members to reconstruct gear and to change the abilities, not abilities, but the traits of their sets. Bankers and merchants are also a must-have. Members can come in and easily put stuff into their bank storage or to sell their junk or whatever. Offense is optional. The only people who can use it are those who have Thieves Guild 10 finished, and they'll have their own if they did that, so it's more or less irrelevant, just something nice you can throw in. Attunable Stations. These are definitely a must-have if you want to run a big guild that does a mix of everything, as many people are going to want to get these craftable sets, and it makes your guild more enticing to everyone. If you can say in your recruiting message that you have all attunable stations, more people will be likely to be drawn, because people need these for the master writs to get their vouchers. They need it for crafting their own gear, and as well, many of these stations are located in DLC areas, and not many people have ESO Plus, and not many people have paid for the extra DLC content. So attunables are highly recommended. So describe your guild hall in your recruiting page. Let PEM members see every service that you're offering. The more that you're offering, the more enticing it is. Outside of what the guild hall offers, give a small description of what people can expect to find in your guild. Normal things that people are looking for is active players. Nobody wants to be in a dead guild with a dead chat where there's no activity, nothing going on, unless it's a strictly trade guild. The point of joining a guild is that people want to get assistance in playing the game. They're looking for a community that they can progress together in. so that they don't have to do the content solo. Having active members who are friendly and social is a very big plus for your guild. Friendly community. No one wants to be in a guild full of jackasses, where there's constant drama and chaos. People will go on a game to relax. You had a long day at work, you had a long day with your university or with your family or whatever the fuck it is. You get on the game and you want to have fun. You don't want to be exposed to more bullshit in it. So the nicer and better your community is, the better chances you have of your guild lasting a very long time. A Discord. Different types of Discords. There's guild-only Discords, there's big community, public servers. We run a public server community Discord. This offers not only guild information, but general information about the Elder Scrolls series and the ESO game. Wikipedia information, builds, mechanics, map locations for bosses, sets, etc., whatever it may be. Anything that's useful information, I would recommend adding to it. You can make it a little bit big and can be a lot to navigate through, but the information there is all in one place with easy access. City traders. Some traders are in such a small, minute location that you can get them for as cheap as 10 to 50k. Very easy to get. If you are a social guild where people can hang out and use the free trader, you can more or less afford that trader every week by yourself if you want to front the money for it. It's not a necessity for a social guild though, but it is something nice. For a guild that's balanced and is doing activities, you're definitely going to want a trader. Not only does the trader give you good money based on the sales, the more that your members are selling and the more valuable items that they happen to be selling, the more money that your guild is going to be making in taxes. Like if you're selling something that's 180 to 200 or so K, you're making like 7 to 10,000 in taxes. So if all of your members are selling lots of good golden materials, expensive motifs, expensive golden foods and recipes, you're raking in sales tax from this. All of it goes back to what you will spend on your guild trader the next week. So again, depending on how you want your guild to set up, you're going to want to have a good trader and a good location. The better location means the more populated it is. And the more populated it is, means the more people are coming and buying from your trader. So it's always important for cost efficiency. Is this trader worth the money based off of the location? You can look up online about forums. You can try to get friendly with other guilds and see if they'll maybe give you a helping hand, give you some information. Weekly events. If you want to have an active guild, you're going to have to provide activities for your members to do. They're going to want something to do. They're going to want something that helps them progress, something that gives them skill points. There's a plethora of different events that you can provide for your guild. You can do world boss hunts where you go and kill all the bosses in a zone. Collect all the sky shards, do dolmens, you can do lore book hunts, you can do dueling. The options are unlimited. Member rewards. This is not something you have to do, this is something that we do. It's a way to give back to your members. It can be an incentive to get donations to come in faster. Contests and raffles. This is also something that you don't have to do, but it's also, again, it's a way to make more donations to go and advance your guild farther, and it can be something fun and enjoyable for everyone to do. Grandmaster Crafters. If you're gonna have a big guild, it's nice to have a staff team that has a lot of crafters on it, and to get in members who are 9-trait crafters, can do many styles. Being able to provide crafting and assistance in a guild is another thing that entices members, because members always need something. Whether it's for research or whether it's for a set for them to wear, they always need something. Trusted crown sellers. This is a big one because there's many instances of players getting scammed in the Elder Scrolls games. Just people saying in the zone chat they want to sell crowns, and then you give them the gold first, and then all of a sudden they run off with your gold and you're screwed out of 200k, 2 million gold, depending on what you wanted to buy, and you never got your item. So in a guild, the admins verify certain members, meaning that they have to send proof of successful crown trade to show that they're not a scammer, and then they get a certified or a verified note or memo on their member note. I always advise buying crowns solely in your guild, because more than likely you're less likely to be scammed or screwed over by someone who's in your guild than somebody who's in the zone, or just a random person posting in a random chat. So having verified sellers in your guild and advertising this, it's showing like a safer environment, more incentive. Prague. Many members want to do trials. Many players want to get skins, achievements, gear from trials, and this is something that you cannot do without a big group of people. Many people don't like running pug trials because sometimes randoms don't know the mechanics, and they can end up making something that should take 30 or 40 minutes into 3 hours. Then everyone leaves and it wasn't successful. Being in a guild that is either a trials guild is very good, or that runs a normal prog or a beginner's prog like we do, where we teach members how to increase their damage, what sets to get that are beneficial for trials and complementing the whole team. Teaching mechanics, it's basically like, since I don't run a trials guild, we start teaching them the normal and then advance them into veteran. Then they can go and join, since you can have up to 5 guilds, they can join a raid guild and advance into that hardcore endgame focused content. So you're basically teaching them up to a certain point and then passing them on once they're ready to advance into the next stage. And then helpful experienced members, people that have played the game a long time, are good at advising on different builds, can help you with your sustain and what content is where, etc., etc. And then again, put your event schedule. You don't want people joining who don't have the availability to do events and or donate. So let them see what your schedule is like. That way they know if this is a good match for them. Detail doesn't hurt. So that's on more or less setting up your guild. As for maintaining your guild, like I said, if you have requirements, then you're going to want to have systems in place. A lot of these systems are viewable in a guild on members' notes. This is a memo, basically. For our systems, like I said, which are sometimes a bit more advanced compared to other guilds, and even other guilds have even bigger, more advanced systems than mine. It really, like I said, it depends on what type of guild you want to run. But for ours, how we keep track of things, because we require either 1 guild event a week or 5k donation weekly, either or, I think it's nice to give members the option to donate. They have to do one or the other, yes, but being a new player, maybe you just started and you don't really have the means to donate right away, because you're leveling up your own gear and you're trying to get money for the things that you want and need. Give your members the option to do events also if you're running events. It's a nice way to level up, and vast majority of them will appreciate the alternative to a mandatory fee. And it shows that you have some leniency and compassion for new players. So we show the welcome date. This is the date that the member has joined, and that's why we put welcome next to it. The total amount of guild events and their last event date, so we can track in total how many events they've done since they've joined and when their last event was, meaning showing how active they are, how much they're participating in the guild. And then same with the donations, total amount since they've been in, the last amount that they donated, and when. This is a very good system for tracking and monitoring activity and participation. That way you can see who's deserving of what ranks, and you don't lose track of, like for instance with the roster bug. In our allied guilds, they're using a validation note system. We're not using this because our normal system already helps us see what members are active. For instance, if you go all the way, or actually, I think I saw one up here. This is someone who has fallen off just by a little bit of our weekly activity requirements. So they get a demotion. I can't English today. So they get a demotion, and they get a little like warning memo on their note, giving them a week to get back up to date with the activity requirements, basically. And then sometimes it's like really bad and stuff. Let me see. Like this person, they are a month over their weekly activity, you know, so. And then sometimes people are off for like 2 months or more, or they're off for like 5 months or 6 months, and so this is how you see who is actively contributing and all of that. So every night, tonight we don't have events and stuff, but every night I'm gonna do it based off of rank to make it easy. Say this person, because they have an empty note. Say that we had an event today, right? What we do is we make the group and we take a picture, a screenshot on PSN or our phone of the group, so we know that everyone who participated. Then we have an admin rotation, which you cannot see in the game, unfortunately. It's only on our Discord, and I don't have any simple way to share this with you right now, so I'll get into that another time. But then you would go to the event date and you would update it to today's date. I believe today's the 24th, yes. So you update the date and the total number of events. If it was your first event, you would put 1. So you have that. Again, all notes have to be hand updated by the admins, and it can take a long time. I'm gonna just cancel that though. So that's basically how you do editing the notes. You want to be careful to not delete any of your coding, or else it will really mess it up. And get these people in. Accepting applications, pretty easy. Now as for donations, keeping track of your donations can be a little bit difficult if you don't know what systems to use. Now, in my guild, we use a gold deposit history. That way all admins know where the last person left off. So admin work should be updated at a minimum if you're not a trading guild. If you're not a primary like Mournhold trader, 10 to 15k weekly fee, then your donation should be updated. Your admin in general should be updated within every 24-hour period. You don't want your guild staff, officers, admin, whatever you call them, you don't want them to feel overwhelmed like they owe their soul to the game. And you don't want them to be stuck doing work every hour, every second, so that they don't have time to play the game. You have to remember when running a guild, because sometimes members can be a bit too demanding, or a bit too needy with something, or a bit too expectant. They want like access to the trader now. They want this to be updated right now, or they just donated and then an hour later it wasn't updated yet. And this is something that you want to set straight from the beginning of starting your guild. Don't let your members push or force you or convince you into breaking your own systems. Make a system and stick with it. For instance, in our guild, when members are asking and trying to get things updated or donated right away because they really want trader access, we tell them no. Because your members need to understand that you and your staff are not a service. You are also players who want to enjoy the game. So pick a time or a time frame every day that you and your staff do admin work, and do it all at once in that time. For me, when I do all 3 guilds, if it's been busy, it can take me around, depending on if it's a raffle or contest days, it can take between 2.5 to 4 hours worth of admin. You don't have to have multiple guilds or work in multiple guilds. You can just have one and knock it out in an hour. Maybe less if it's not like a massive guild. So you want to make sure that you're doing it on a system and a schedule, and that your members are used to this system. Again, like, you don't want them to get expectant or used to you just doing it whenever they ask, because then it can end up being something that's expected and can be a problem when you decide to change it or put your foot down. Another thing with running a guild that can be difficult is that from someone who runs their own guild, it always seems like the guild master gets more attention from the members and the staff, meaning that more members will come to you with questions and systems and asking you to do this or how to do that or where to find this, and that's fine that they want to interact and that they want to talk to you or run to you first, but at the same time you want to have boundaries. When you are showing online but on Do Not Disturb, one of the things that I recommend, because you'll get a lot of whispers, is if someone whispers you while you're on Do Not Disturb, I recommend to ignore it, which is something that I struggled with for a long time, because I like to help and to not make people wait, but you need to set boundaries for yourself or you'll end up getting overwhelmed like I did. You can see my staff taking the piss out of each other in the background. But yeah, you'll end up getting overwhelmed like I did, and the guild will become more of a chore and a job and something that drains you instead of something that should bring you joy and should bring you pride and happiness in your community. You don't want your guild to be draining to you, to be something that you start to resent. And if you don't make proper boundaries and restrictions for yourself and your members, this is what it will become. It'll become a chore, and it'll become something that you end up resenting and not wanting to do anymore. This is also another way that I have seen many guilds die. So like I said, you should make it a system that when you're on Do Not Disturb, that your chat HUD is disabled, and if you don't disable it, then at least tell your members or something that it's disabled, and just don't respond to them. That way they will get it into their mind to not even message or whisper the staff when they're on Do Not Disturb, because they just won't see it. That way it teaches them to respect your time as well. Dedicate a certain amount of time to your guild and your members, and dedicate a certain amount of time to yourself. And make sure that they are respecting your time, because you cannot be available to them 24/7. I promise you, it will take a great amount of fun out of running a guild, and just a great amount of fun out of the game as well. You'll end up not wanting to get on the game. So like I said, that's one important thing. Just boundaries and guidelines are really important. Set proper rules for your guild. Some trading guilds regulate how much you can sell something for, or more or less how little you can sell, because they're very adamant about getting as much sales tax as they can. This is not something that I do, but many top city trading guilds do this. General rules that you should have in your guild: just no discrimination, no harassment, no one thing that a lot of guilds don't understand is if you want to have an NSFW guild, you need to make sure that you have an 18+ limit and that you don't let any minors in your guild. But at the same time, you don't know how old the people in your guild are. Anyone can say they're a certain age, and from someone who know some people that work for the company that makes this game, and I've seen a few guilds get deleted by Xenomax. If you have a minor in your guild and there is an inappropriate or sexual comment made in your public guild chat, and a minor's parents see this and report it to the company, your guild will get destroyed. They will delete your guild. They will not tell you. You will have to make a ticket, and you will have to make an appeal to them to even find out what happened. So many guilds regulate to keep their chat PG-13. I'm one of them, as you don't want your guild to get destroyed or deleted just because a member wants to make a funny, inappropriate joke. It's not worth the risk. And if people think that's, you know, being too restrictive or something, then they will go and find another guild that's more, what's the word? Just based around their needs and what they're looking for. Because I know some people who got their guild just like basically shut down entirely, where the game disbanded the guild for them. And I'm telling you, it's not worth losing everything that you put your hard work into the guild just so that your members can take the piss with sexual conversation and stuff in the chat. You don't want to risk having it reported. It's really not worth it. Another thing to remember when it comes to running a guild is when you're making your guild's name, make sure it's not similar to any company. Don't name it after a movie. Don't take the name of a company, ZeniMax, and know that it's copyrighted, especially if it gets reported. And they will just change, if they don't disband your guild, they will at least change the name without your consent, and they'll choose the new name. You don't get. And this is because they want to avoid a lawsuit. So always make sure that you're choosing a name that isn't copyrighted, because you don't want to have that type of problem. Another thing is, don't let members buy, like, try to sell gold for real money or sell crowns for real money. This violates ZeniMax's policy, and they will permaban people in your guild, and it can also pose a risk to your guild as well. If they think that your guild is making like a business where people are, you know, cheating the system with real money, then they'll also destroy your guild. So these are all things to keep in mind when running a guild or being an officer in a guild, and things that you want to look out for and moderate. Also, I mean, some allow it, but most don't. Recruiting in another person's guild, it's basically like poaching, trying to steal their members. This is also a normal thing that is a standard. I don't know what this is. Give me just a minute. As an officer, I kind of have to address it. I'm gonna use the second screen now to type faster. Actually glad that something's happening, kind of. Sometimes things happen in guilds, and as an officer or a guild master, you need to address whatever is happening, or your staff address. These are things that you need to inform, basically. And sometimes it's necessary to demote or to kick. So right now there's a little thing happening where someone is making like spamming the members. I'll let that simmer for a second, but yeah, like I said, when it comes to donations and stuff, you mark it, and then like from here to here would be where I would do the donations, and so you have to update the donation total, last donation, the date, and more or less this is the gist of it. Trading right now, trading is very low because of the glitch. Normally we average around like 28 to 33 pages of sales per 24 hours, as we're not a primary trading guild, like a medium one. The big ones normally average around 60, but right now all trading is down just because of a bug where you can't really scroll in the craft bag or the trader or just anything, and it makes it very irritating. Okay, this is how you, I gotta do it the other way then. Can we just do it this way? I'm gonna have to type the name so I know the right way to, let's see. Alrighty. So yeah, remove people who are making an issue, and then if you can, just blacklist them if it lets you. Sometimes the game is glitching and not letting you. Hopefully it works. Yep, there we go. All small things like this are taken care of by multiple admins. It's just right now I'm doing the majority of it to show how it's done. I must say, if you're gonna be running a big guild, it's very important to have a it's very important to have a staff team that you can trust. You're gonna want a staff team that you know aren't gonna steal from the guild bank, from your gold. You're gonna want a staff team that can commit to helping you with the admin work. Because as I said, to try and run a guild, it can be overwhelming for one person to do. It can be nearly impossible for one person to do, especially if you're advertising many things and offering many things. You're gonna want assistance with it, because I mean, who's got the time to sit there by themselves doing all of it? So you should have maybe 5, 6, maybe 10 to 15 staff or more. It really depends on what you're doing and how much stuff you have to do. So based on how active your guild is, you're going to want multiple staff to help you with taking a donation day, an admin day, running events, moderating the chat. One last thing I'll show is the guild hall, a good setup for having a big guild and what each thing is, and then that'll probably be the end of the stream because I more or less covered the gist of it. I'm not going to get into the raffles and all of our systems now as we don't want to show too much, but for anyone who's new to the game and wants to start a community, these are Mundus Stones. They are only available for purchase with crowns. Each Mundus Stone, I believe, is 4,000 crowns. Now, you can get them with gold if you have a trusted seller who will sell you for the gold equivalent, but right now the crown prices have increased and have gone up to 150 to 200 gold per crown, when it used to be around 100 each. There are 13 Mundus Stones. They are all more or less important for different builds, and a finished guild hall should have all of them. These are one of the Vamp Tools. Like I said, they're more or less obsolete at this case unless you're playing just for like role-playing or you just really enjoy the vampires and stuff like that. This is another one of my loyal staff. So these are more or less obsolete that you don't really need. Next Vamp tool is out this way. Another good thing to have. It is the Soul Sworn Thrall. Basically, if you're a vampire, which I'm not on my vampire character, but you sneak behind it, then you hit the triangle and the circle like you would for the I think it's Undaunted Assassinate, and then you drain it to increase your stage. This is the 21 million trial dummy. When you hit this, I'm not actually going to fight it, but you see that thing I just did, that Blessed Shards, that's a buff that it gives you. You can see that on your bar above all of your skills. This gives you back your health, or not your health, this gives you back your magicka or stamina depending on what stat you primarily focus. Like I said, you're also going to want some extra target dummies. Make sure that they're spaced out accordingly so that members can fight them at the same time without it aggroing abilities on the other one. And then a plethora of other ones are always good to have. So like I said, the more services you offer in your guild hall, the better. This is the Transmute Station. You can reconstruct items that you have gotten rid of or using the transmute crystals, and you can also transmute the traits on your gear to make it, you know, better for your build. Attunable Stations. These are all the different craft stations that you can have. Each one, they give like a different sets that you can see, especially if you're at 160. These 5-piece sets give you different types of bonuses and whatnot, and good for different characters and builds. And while they are craftable, they can still be very good and beneficial to your build. Some builds even recommend crafted sets. This is the Ethereal Well. Gives you the Resource Restore, really important. Outfit Station, change your costume and stuff like this. And then last but not least, you have your banks and merchants and defense that I told you you need the Thieves Guild 10 for. And then your base crafting stations here. So more or less that's about it with running a guild and what you can provide for your guild, the different levels and tiers that you can do. I hope this helps anyone who wants a better understanding of what running a guild entails, or helps anyone who's thinking of starting a guild and helps you to figure out how you want to begin it and set it up. I'm going to end this stream here as I still have some admin work to do, and I will be putting out some mechanic videos and guide videos coming soon. And I hope you all have a really good night, and I hope you follow me on hopefully follow me on my Twitch or YouTube, which are both linked on my Twitch channel. Good night, guys.